Hello, this is Joe Martin. I'm the pastor at First Baptist Church in Toledo, Washington. And this is a cabin talk for this week about anger. We've been talking a lot on the Sunday gatherings about dealing with forgiveness and how critical forgiveness is. As a matter of fact, the single biggest block in the way of a real move in your life by God, in your life or in your family or in your church, is the unwillingness or either the incapacity or the lack of training or not really knowing how to forgive well. And so there are many, and it's understandable because there are many reasons to be angry in this world. There's a lot of cruelty, selfishness, greed. Probably if you were to sum it all up, it would be hard-heartedness. And Christ was angered by these things. As a matter of fact, in the Gospel of Mark, it says, chapter 3, verse 1, he entered again into the synagogue, and a man was there whose hand was withered. And they were watching him to see if he would heal him on the Sabbath, so they might accuse him. And he said to the man with the withered hand, "Get up and come forward." And he came to him, and he asked, "Is it lawful to do good or to do harm on the Sabbath, to save life or to kill?" But they kept silent. After looking around at them with anger, grieved at their hardness of heart, he said to the man, "Stretch out your hand." And he stretched it out. He stretched out his hand, and he was restored. The Pharisees went out and immediately began conspiring with the Herodians against him on how they might destroy him. Jesus felt anger because of an underlying issue, his own grief at their hardness of heart. Jesus did not act out of anger. In other words, he didn't just decide to smite them, but he didn't act in any way. He didn't sin because of his anger, but he did the opposite. He healed the man. He dealt with the consequence of a broken world. Anger is, as some say in the modern era, a surface emotion. It's felt when we feel grief or we feel threatened or we feel in pain. Sometimes it's because of our anxiety. We use the word stress a lot in our society, and so we're stressed out, and that's kind of another way for us to say we're very vulnerable to reacting in anger. In Jesus' life, it was something different. It was something that he should have been bothered by. There are things in life that ought to bother you. There's things in your life and in the behaviors of others that ought to bring grief to you. And Jesus' anger, when we look at it in the Gospels, was motivated by grief and zeal. This is what fueled his anger. And yet he never sinned. He the Bible tells us that he sinned not, tempted in all things and yet sinned not. He never sinned in anger. And the other thing we see about Jesus, he never stayed angry. He didn't live in that place. He experienced all the human emotions that we do. Anger in of itself is not a sin. Your emotions are not sinful. They're just like one person said, the warning lights, the flashing warning lights on the dashboard of your soul. They kind of tell you what's really going on down beneath. But this Sunday, we're going to learn about how anger affects real world experience. Also, how to know when and how to deal with it when it comes up, because it's going to come up. And one thing is certain, if you stay angry long enough, and some of you have been angry for a long, long time, you'll get really good at it. You'll get so good at it that you won't even notice it in your life when it's actually fueling and running. It's really navigating, or at least pulling your direction off. And when you stay angry, here's one thing that is an absolute certainty. That will stunt you spiritually. It doesn't take much to just stunt you, and you get stuck, and you will begin to look for kind of substitutes for, you're calling it spiritual maturity or spiritual growth, but it's really not. It's just kind of a side journey, a a lateral move rather than moving forward. So it'll stunt you. And the reason for it is because James chapter 1:20 says, the anger of man does not achieve the righteousness of God. Your anger is not going to move you forward in righteousness with God and on his agenda. And so I really want you to come this Sunday. This Sunday is, obviously it's a Memorial Day weekend. So I know a lot of you are going to be have different things going on, but start the plan right now. The best way to make sure that you and your kids make it to church on Sunday is to start right now planning to be there. And what we're going to memorialize is the most important remedy to what we're talking about, anger, the most demonstrative expression of forgiveness, and that is the cross of Christ, because we'll have the Lord's Supper in the 8 and the 11 o'clock service. So we'll also have a meal at 9:15, and we'll be learning some practical things about how to deal with anger. But I do really want to encourage you, as part of your practice of following Jesus, that it's about your day-to-day practice, your week-to-week practice, and to set that day aside, to set that part of the day, that morning, for worship. Just remember, the practice of Sabbath is really stopping and resting and delighting and contemplating and worshiping God. So make that part of your life, not as an option, but as a practice in your day-to-day life. I can't wait to see you. I do also want to remind you that I'm doing a new course on Wednesday night called Basic. And so if you're interested in that, it's really very different. Like, some of you may think, oh, I've been in classes like new members classes or new Christian classes. It's not like this because it's never been done before. This is really, Pastor Danny and I put this together, and I think that you'll really benefit from it, a different perspective. So plan to be there for that. And then I can't wait to see you. Thank you once again for your generosity in providing through giving off this site. You can go to our giving site, and many of you give over and over again. Thank you for that, making this ministry possible, making all these kids able to go to camp, all these things that are really great. Thank you so much. God bless you.